Have you ever felt?
Are you
Hello,
listening?
and welcome to this week's Just Be Mentally Free from Anxiety Talk Show. This is episode 1, and I'm thrilled that you're joining me.
Yeah,
I'm Paul Cartone, a licensed psychotherapist, life coach, and sports performance coach, specializing in anxiety. You know, this is my first time using Google Hangouts on air, so bear with me. And I'm definitely learning here, and hopefully I'll be more savvy as time goes on. With that, this show is about anxiety, plain and simple. And it's my hope that you will gain some valuable insight and feel hope that you can get control back and can even overcome this condition. It's 30 minutes, and most of the show will be talk about anxiety, but there will be a Q&A session at the end for anyone either emailing or asking questions during the show who would like some answers. I'd be happy to answer your questions, and you can actually email me at paulcartone@live.com, PAULCARTONE @live.com, or you can ask your question, like I said, right here on Google Hangouts. You can also find more information about me at www.justbementallyfree.com. So, I decided to help people and do this show because I've been there before. I suffered from anxiety and debilitating panic attacks. So today, during this show, I want to share my story and talk about the basics of anxiety. So I'm going to begin with a little bit about me and share my story so you can get to know me a little bit and understand who I am. I actually started suffering from anxiety around age 17. And it let me take a step back. I didn't realize I was suffering from anxiety until I was around 17. And I previously suffered from anxiety in my teens. And I didn't actually know what was going on with me then until I was around 17 and sort of self-diagnosed myself. And I sort of lived with it once I knew what was going on with me and tried to maintain it until I was about 21. So I tried to manage it on my own. It helped to know at the time that I may have had anxiety, but in my mind, I thought I was going crazy, as most people do, suffering from anxiety. And those I help come to me not knowing what's really happening and have that fear they're going crazy on top of all the anxiety they're dealing with. Anyway, panic attacks happened with me daily, and I felt like I was definitely out of control. I felt like I was a prisoner trapped inside my own world. I thought I was actually dying at times. No one knew, though. On the outside, I appeared to be confident and happy, and on the inside, though, I was terrified, lonely, and living in fear, worried about when the next panic attack would strike. And this made me avoid a lot of social situations, and I actually hated going out in public. And we'll talk about that, how anxiety can be so debilitating, avoidance behavior, takes place. So that happened to me. And I thought everyone would know I was having a panic attack. And for me, everybody's different, but for me, I started sweating profusely. It started on my face or my forehead and started, I had beads of sweat, coming down my face, and I felt tremendous shame and embarrassment. Over time, I internally beat myself up, and this definitely lowered my self-confidence. I avoided attention to myself at all costs, and the more I tried to control my anxiety, the worse it became. I was actually a baseball player and played Division I college baseball, and that's where I was most confident, on the playing field, or if I had that, if I was playing that character, baseball player. I was extremely confident. So that was a great way to mask what was actually happening inside of me. So outside of baseball, though, I was a mess, lacking confidence, low self-worth and feeling like I had no purpose. I was terrified if I failed in baseball, I felt like I could not go on. My dream of playing a professional baseball actually ended, though, when I was 22 and I had lost my identity. I slipped into this depression and actually took a semester off from college. I was, yes, I was that guy who was on the 5-year plan, and upon completing my 4 years of baseball, I still had school to finish. But I decided to take a semester off because, again, I slipped into that depression and sort of was lost. But during that time, I was guided, and thankfully, I got help. I was blessed to be guided to a wonderful counselor, thanks to my mom, actually. And it was important because at that time, even though I've never been to counseling, didn't know what to expect or anything, I was able to connect with her. And I got lucky. A lot of times it takes people 3 or 4, 5 times to connect with a counselor or life coach. But I felt really, really connected with her, and I went to her for quite some time. And she was a very good listener, empathetic, easy to talk to. And she actually educated me on anxiety and helped me understand why I had this condition. So that in itself gave me hope. And every time I walked out of her office, after every session, I was feeling confident, more confident after every session, feeling normal actually again. In quotes, I say normal, and feeling more free from my anxiety. And it was actually at that time, or during that time when I was attending counseling, that I decided that I wanted to make an impact on people's lives, just like she was helping me, and help them the way um, she helped me. And through my own life experience, I felt like I could apply that in what I was going through to help people going through this condition a lot better. And, with that and that revelation, I had goals and I had dreams, which I didn't have before. I was a lost soul, didn't have an identity. Now I actually felt hope in my life, and that was a great feeling. But, with that too, I continued to battle through my anxiety, with, though, the hope it would get better. And it did over time, but it took a long time. I was taught traditional techniques, and it took a lot of self-discipline and concentration to use these techniques. A lot of cognitive behavioral stuff and reprogramming my mind to think differently, rewiring the brain. My panic attacks actually continued, but they were less frequent, and I felt more in control and accepted the fact. And that's key, acceptance. And again, we'll talk about that at some point in time. But that was key for me, accepting that I had this condition, had anxiety, and the fact that I may have a panic attack and anxiety, again, was part of that acceptance and part of actually who I am. So, it took a long time to accept that. I thought maybe I wasn't as good as somebody else, or um, this would always be a constant struggle. But it's a mindset. When you accept it and you're sort of surrendering to it and freeing yourself. Anyway, that was my thinking and how I dealt with it at that point in time. That's key. So just remember that. I only won half the battle. That was at that time. Looking back in retrospect, I was just starting out for figuring this whole thing out, and that was only half the battle. Acceptance and using traditional techniques, coping skills to work through this. So, I've been to counseling and went through years, of battling this, and I just can't stress enough how I understand what you might be going through and the struggles you're feeling, and daily just even trying to, cope with everyday life. And some of you may be listening who are so debilitated by this you can't even leave the house out of fear. Others may be, functioning with this, but it's a constant struggle, every minute of the day to get through and take one day at a time. So, it's my hope that, I can instill that, or, give you that hope that you can gain control and yes, overcome this anxiety. I've helped so many people. I've been doing this for 17 years and developed a paradigm that actually will get you in control of this anxiety, and like I said, for a lot of individuals, overcome this anxiety. Um, Again, I'm a licensed psychotherapist, life and sports performance coach, and I specialize in anxiety and panic attacks. So I'm hoping that you can get something out of this show. And every week I'll be talking about some topic about anxiety and offer some insight. But let me get to the actual title of this show. It's called Just Be Mentally Free from Anxiety for a reason. I sort of coined that phrase. I like to take credit for it. Not sure about the just be part, but just be mentally free I came up with. And I'll break it down. Just be, to me, actually means living in the present and seizing the moment. You've heard of carpe diem? I've always tried to live like that, and be in the present. Even when I was going through what I was going through, I was taught that at a young age, to try to just be in the present, because life is so precious, and time passes by quickly. And at the time, I didn't really understand it, but as you grow older, you really value time. And things can happen at an instant, and we can lose time, and we can never get it back. So just be means living in the present. And second part, mentally free, means having a mind that is free from anything that can keep us from being just be. Hence, just be mentally free. If we can achieve this and just be mentally free, we are living in the moment. And out of that pure joy, pure love, and our mind and body are one, all that good stuff. And, ultimately, we're living in total peace. I understand that's a journey, to find peace and to live in that peace. But that's my goal for everyone, to live life of peace, because I believe everybody, you deserve that. We were born out of pure love and peace. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. But when I help people with anxiety and panic attacks, my goal is to help them to control that, but ultimately resolve. And you can get to a point where you feel like there's resolve and live in that peace and just be mentally free. So let's talk a little bit about anxiety and what exactly anxiety is. A lot of you might be here because you have a loved one who's suffering from anxiety. You might not understand it. Or you may be here because you think you might have anxiety, or you're curious about it. And others, you already know what it is. So I apologize, but I just want to review a little bit, give you a definition of anxiety and what I actually think anxiety is. Give you my take on it. Um, and I'm basing my definition off the 17 years of my own experience, and then the 17 years of helping people, and what my conclusion is. But let's talk about that. The definition, actually, if you want to look it up, and this is out of the dictionary here, it's a condition of agitation and distress which affects your whole being. It's a physiological, behavioral, and psychological reaction all at once. On the physiological level, anxiety may include bodily reactions such as rapid heartbeat, muscle tension, queasiness, dry mouth, or sweating. On a behavioral level, it can sabotage your whole ability to act, express yourself, or deal with certain everyday situations. And psychologically, though, it's a subjective state of apprehension and uneasiness. And it's in its most extreme form, it can cause you to feel detached from yourself and even cause you to be fearful of dying or going crazy. And, so that's the definition of anxiety. And, I always say everybody worries. We all have worries at times. Some people really don't worry. which I envy those people. But I would say, on, a universal level, most people definitely have worry at some point in their life, but people with anxiety just take that to the next level. And it's basically the definition that I just explained here. And I would say anxiety is sort of worry on steroids. But with that, here's my take on anxiety and what my definition or belief is, in my opinion, is I believe anxiety is a condition. It's a condition that's developed over time, and it's not a disease. I believe there's a root cause to your anxiety, and there's a reason why you're suffering from anxiety. And I've developed this, like I said before, a paradigm to get people to resolve and to figure out what that root cause is and be able to, move on. And when anxiety happens or worry happens, it's so much easier to deal with and dismiss it as quickly as it came, with resolving the root cause. So I don't believe you have to, live with this disease. It's not a disease. I don't believe it's genetic. That's a whole debate in itself. I believe through certain techniques and, traditional cutting edge, I believe you can resolve this. And if you don't believe you can resolve it, you can definitely control it. There's all kinds of self-help books out there. There's all kinds of theory in terms of how you can help yourself, deal with it, or coping skills. But bottom line with me and what I found and just my own personal dealings with anxiety and panic attacks is without resolution, without resolving the things that have happened to you in the past, such as, examples are trauma, abuse, growing up in an alcoholic family, or a family that was, modeled, behavior such as overreacting, and dealing with, maybe a parent who had high expectations or was a perfectionistic type of person. There's just all kinds of scenarios or, maybe root causes. But, the hope that I'm trying to give you is there's a reason for this. And if you find a good practitioner or a life coach or counselor, somebody that specializes in anxiety, such as myself, we can investigate, and figure it out and, take you through resolution, and then, coach you and teach you new skills and new ways to reprogram and think. And, it doesn't have to take a lot of time either. Let me just summarize. Any unresolved emotion is always going to be inside of you, and I believe it's toxic to your body and poison. That's really sounds extreme, but it's true. Our emotions affect us more than you may be aware. With that, I'm gonna just let you know, you can always find me on my website, www.justbementallyfree.com. And I want to thank you for listening today. And, you can follow me on Twitter as well. My Twitter name is @BeMentallyFree, BeMentallyFree. You can even sign up for my blog on my website. And if you're interested in learning more about my services, you can schedule a session with me or a free consult at my website as well, www.justbementallyfree.com. And remember, it's my goal to help everyone live a life of peace that they deserve and just be mentally free. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.